Welcome back to another episode of the Brew and Ink podcast. And welcome back to another Brew and Ink podcast. We are here in the new year, 2020.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year, everybody. Faithful listeners, thank you for coming back and joining us in this new year. We are wrapping up our story from last year, so you're going to get a few more episodes of that, and then this year will be a whole bunch of newish.
Newish.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes.
Newish.
But it's good. We're excited. We're ready to rock it out for this year, and I'm excited to bring to you the next episode of Singularity, Ch14. But first, we've got some business to attend to. It's 2020.
Business.
It's the first episode, first podcast of 2020. So we're going to talk about New Year's resolutions, you know. Do you make them? Do you keep them? Or do you hate them? Do you ignore them?
You talking to me first?
Well, yes. Yeah, let's talk with you first. And then we'll get to the listeners after that.
I don't really make resolutions. Necessarily. I don't.
Yeah.
It's kind of a semantics issue, I guess.
Okay.
But I do have goals.
Yeah.
Like, I think, okay, these are the things I want to accomplish this year. They aren't resolutions like, I want to lose more weight, or I want to be nicer to people, or it's not, I mean, those are cool.
Yeah. That's like a daily thing, though.
Right. I have more goals.
Okay.
Like, I want to do this in this year.
I think I totally agree with you on that.
And so I do. Like, you know, my wife and I were talking about it the other night, and I said, yes, I have kind of resolutions, but they're more goals. Like, what do I want to do this year?
Right.
I want to get 3 more book contracts this year.
Nice.
I had 3 last year. I'm going to have 5 books coming out this year.
Yeah.
2 of them self-published, 3 of them published traditionally. I want to get 3 more, at least, contracted. I want to get 3 more book contracts.
Yeah.
1 of them fiction. I have 2 ideas for nonfiction books that I want to get published this year, and I want to get 1 fiction book contract by the end of the year.
Yeah.
I want to.
Yeah.
I want to do better with some of the podcasts and some of the marketing that we've been doing for the podcast, both of my podcasts. And those are kind of the main ones for me. Those are the main goals for me. I mean, obviously, I do want to get in shape. I want to get healthy. And, you know, Beck and I go through that every year, right?
I took on one of those foolhardy undertakings. One of those 2 people at my job were like, oh, yeah, we're going to go on this little competition, see who can lose more weight sort of thing. And I was like, you know what? Count me in. I just need something to make it a competition, give me some sort of a drive or whatever too. So now I've been trying to eat healthy, or at least keep track of my macronutrients, you know.
Which is why you gave me all your sweets tonight.
Which is why I handed out all the leftover Christmas sweets for you to gobble down for me, because I couldn't stop myself.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, it's been difficult, but also good at the same time. But I have goals as well. Yeah, I like to reflect, okay, what did I do 2019? Okay, what of those things can I take to the next level? What of those things do I need to get back on board with? And a lot of that just has to do with writing and editing and things like that. Like my son wants to make videos, and so we recorded one today, and just trying to get more into that pace again of doing all that kind of stuff.
So just to kind of back up, like for 2019 I had goals.
Yeah.
For 2019 I had goals for, I wanted to really pump up my Instagram.
Yeah.
I really wanted to get more email addresses as an author for my author marketing and newsletter kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I wanted to get a book contract, at least 1. Right? Yeah. I was really just kind of going to be happy with 1. There was really one I was focusing on, The Consequences of Saying Yes, which is about the coffee company that I work for.
Right.
That one had, I think, a lot of momentum, and I thought that one would really kind of hone in and get a contract. So the fact that I now have, like I was telling you before we came on,
Right.
I went from like 300 or 200 Instagram to like
Almost
over
5,000, yeah.
4,000 now on Instagram, which isn't a ton, but it's a lot more than some people have. And I've got a lot of engagement on there. People like my videos. I really try to be generous on Instagram. I want to inspire people and writers and creatives, and I want to try to talk to them about how to be better at just the whole kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then for emails, I went from like 350 emails to almost 5,000 emails now. So again, it's a lot of consistent work.
Right.
Like just like losing weight or getting in shape is just kind of a lot of consistent work, but you got to be really consistent with it and discipline. And so looking back, I'm like, man, I really did accomplish a lot.
Some leaps and bounds.
I really did. And so for me, it's like, okay, what's next? Like, what are my next goals?
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to work towards that. Now when I go to conferences, now I have a focus. Like, what am I doing at this conference, writers conference or whatever? I really want to go to Realm Makers this year. That's another one of my goals.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I really want to go to Realm Makers this year. Because I think that's going to be a big part of maybe getting, a fiction contract. I'm going to have a few books that I can kind of shop out there and see if I can get some interest. So for me, it's goals and really looking, like you said, looking back and saying, okay, this is what I did in 2019.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of people kind of trip up or get distracted, or is they don't look back and say, what's the next step? Mm-hmm. Like, I think a lot of people, their goals or their resolutions, I don't want to say they're unrealistic, but they're kind of like, they're not the next step for whatever it is.
Right.
Like I was talking to somebody today, like when I really felt like, okay, it's time to get serious with this writing thing. I knew it wasn't going to be overnight.
Right.
Like I knew this was going to take time.
Right.
Like
consistency.
That's
the hardest thing sometimes.
What am I going to do? Like the first thing I had to do was write 2,000 words a day.
Yeah.
Like you give yourself these things to do consistently to start achieving some of your goals. And so that's where I think a lot of people mess up is they don't take bite-sized steps.
Right.
Because then you really feel successful. When you're like, man, I wrote a whole book in 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you do NaNoWriMo, or you do something like that. Like that's why a lot of people I think really love NaNoWriMo is because they feel like they accomplished something in a month or something.
Right.
So I think that's where a lot of people mess up with resolutions and goals is they don't take bite-sized chunks. And
they look at where they want to be.
That's
and
right.
They're like, that's where I'm going to achieve, but they don't look at how to get there.
That's right.
Incrementally.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, I think for us, I know we've got some goals for the podcast itself. We've been talking about them. We're going to get this Patreon out and get the webpage updated and all that and get you guys more and more wrapped into this story through different avenues. I think the best way to do that is to give them the next part of the story.
Give them the next part of the story.
Well, do we want to set it up?
Yeah, let's set it up. What were the choices?
The choices before were, do they want to go along with this well thought out, elaborate plan from Harlock and the gang? Somewhat complicated. Or Kepler had said, hey, we could just go off on our own. This stealth tech is going to do what it needs to do. My ship has got the right technology. Let's just go on our own while they're, all this distraction, while we're still in the crowd sort of thing.
Right.
And so that was the choice, was which way do we go? And the voters chose to go off on their own.
Pretty overwhelmingly, it looked like.
Yeah. So it was kind of a surprise to me. I thought maybe they would, this is the cast we've been with. This is a safe bet.
Right.
But no, a majority of the choice went to let's lone wolf it. Let's get out there and trust in the tech.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to get here. And then, of course, as always, the divergent path will be available in the future.
In the future.
Yes. And it will be the opposite choice that lost. So that will be going with the plan. And we'll get to see how that all falls apart in that
Yes, right.
part. But today, you get to see what happens. What's the name of the chapter?
The core.
The core. What happens?
They're finally getting there.
Yes, we're here.
This is the goal. This has been the goal.
Right? Yeah. And I like the way, I don't want to spoil it because we haven't gotten to that yet. We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it later.
We'll see you guys on the other side of the story.
On the flippity flip.
On the flip side. Thanks for listening to our podcast. If you are interested in learning more about writing and how to become a writer, check out our syndication page, SeriousWriter.com. They have articles, resources, classes, videos, and a podcast, the Brew and Ink Podcast. Again, check out SeriousWriter.com. Thanks for listening.
Singularity, Chapter 14, The Core. I shifted in the seat. You want to head out on our own without the pirates? Terrell gave a giggle. You're still calling them that? I'm saying between this ship, my tech, and the knowledge of the core, and Jinn, we have all that we need. The fewer people, the better. I cleared my throat. I hadn't been crazy about the complicated plan the others concocted anyway. You think we can make it? I know we can, Terrell said. Harlock will take care of the distraction. The rest is simple. My eyes narrowed. Simple, yes, but easy? Fine, I said. Let's go. Kepler gave a lopsided grin. First, you must get ready to fly the ship. He turned around and reached behind the seat. A compartment slid open and revealed a silver helmet, which he pulled out. What's this? I asked. This is the interface for the Starlight, he said. It reads and responds to thoughts much faster than normative flight models. You become the computer, as it were. It'll take a moment for you to adjust. He offered the helmet. Why don't you use it? I said. Terrell cocked his head. I am an inventor, an engineer. I can fly, but I'm no pilot. The approach to the core will take precision. Have Jinn do it, I said, pointing over my shoulder. That's her programming. He hesitated before answering. I have designed the system to reject any AI. It only works with organic humans. Grunting, I stared at the helmet. My heart thumped. Connect my brain to a computer? I clenched my jaw, reached out, took the helmet, and wore it. The first few moments were black and empty. I cried out when the lights began flashing in my periphery, images coalescing at the edges, coming together until my vision returned. The Starlight, Jinn. It all came to me in the next instant. Information filled my head, data from the instruments and power and the position of every ship in the system, and more. I groaned while my consciousness stretched beyond anything I thought possible. Mitchell, I heard Jinn's voice. Are you okay? Kepler filled my sight at first, his eyes distorted by his glasses. How does it feel? I don't know, I said, and my voice sounded strange. I see outside the ship, here, all of it. Terrell said, try to raise the Starlight a few meters. Be careful. She is more powerful than the Phoenix. I closed my eyes, feeling the shape and size of the ship. I willed it to lift 2 meters. It rose and stopped. Pulse my mother, I whispered. Jinn, Kepler said, would you open the bay doors? Very well, she said. The doors opened and revealed the busy system beyond. Good, Terrell said. Now take us out slowly. I swung us around to face the doors, trying to be restrained. Forward, I sent. We gradually flew out of the slag tree. Becoming more comfortable with the interface, I moved us faster away. Captain, Jinn said, I am detecting an increased heart rate and raised blood pressure. I took a deep breath to try and calm myself. That's normal, Terrell said. Your brain is operating at near optimum, a feat few people have ever experienced. It requires a great amount of energy. I licked my lips. Is it dangerous? For extended periods, yes, Kepler said, but not for the short trip today. He is correct, Captain Jinn said. We must finish quickly. Kepler chuckled. You'll be extremely hungry in an hour or so. He checked the hollow instruments before him. Could I see that with my eyes or with the starlight? Maybe both. You need to activate the stealth tech. How? I said. See the other ships and stations in the system? He said. Yes, I answered. Find the security sensors, Kepler said. My mouth became a line. Okay, which ones? All of them, Tyrell said. I reached out with my thoughts, and I found them. All of them. Now what? I asked. Blind them to this ship, to you, and only you, he said. My tech can hack into any system undetected. Those security measures don't even know how to look for it. All the tech needs is your command. I found the stealth program and directed it to make us blind to all the sensors in the system. A confirmation returned from the ship. It's done, I think. Good. Kepler's fingers moved on the hollow instruments. Go to these coordinates. 3 numbers came to my mind. I sent the starlight to the destination. You can go as fast as you like now, Captain, Tyrell said. I pushed the power output to around 70%, and the man was right. The ship was several times faster than the Phoenix. Nexus had 8 moons. The storms of Nexus were famous due to the lunar effects on the planet, so a large percentage of the population lived on the moons. I navigated a wide curve split between 2 moons and flew around to the dark side of Nexus. The moon that held the core, Tenal, was a global shadow against the starry scene behind it. Slowing as we neared the moon, my brow creased. Something... What is it? Jinn asked. The pirates, I said. I mean, the slag tree. 34 bulldogs are approaching the ship at speed. Tyrell's hands worked instruments again, giving him and Jinn a view. That distraction isn't working. Or working too well, I said. I stopped the starlight 1,000 kilometers from the core. The bulldogs spread in a net formation around the slag tree. They're attacking, I said. I focused on the communication to the bulldog drones, the source of the Fed military force on another moon. The commands were to destroy. We have to go back and help them, I said. We can't, Kepler said. No weapons. Well, what can we do then, I said. Can I disrupt the bulldog communication like I did their sensors? Tyrell shook his head. That's more invasive than the security. It could alert them to our presence. Once they have an idea that stealth tech is being used, the IAF AIs will search and adapt. We can't give them time to do that. The bulldogs surrounded the slag tree, which retreated back to the fold ring. One of the squadrons began to fire. Frag it, I said. How much time would it take for them to adjust, to adapt, and find us after breaking up their communication? Minutes, maybe, Tyrell said. A half hour at the most. More bulldogs fired, and the slag tree's deflectors began to fail. I thought of Nisha and the people that helped us get here. Let's hope it's a half hour, I said. I focused my attention on the comm links to the bulldog drones. While it was unheard of for an AI to go rogue, drone tech could become unstable, which could be dangerous. There was a command the drone pilots could send to the ships. Destruct 783. That's the order I sent to the bulldog drones. Each one exploded in yellow and red dots in my mind. What did you do? Kepler yelled. They'll find us. I checked the stealth tech. Still confirmed working. Not yet, I said. The slag tree swung around to the activated fold ring, more bulldogs on the way. With the program Kepler had downloaded to the slag tree, the feds couldn't track them. The large ship smoked as it limped toward the ring. They'll make it, I said. Let's go. Take us to the southern pole of the moon, Tyrell said. His voice quivered. Nervousness? Excitement? I followed his direction and approached from the southern pole. Tyrell typed in more specific coordinates. This is an exhaust port that leads to the mainframe room. Wait, I said, we're not really going through the vents, are we? We? Tyrell said, not we. Jinn and the drone. The gamma and beta radiation from the fission generators in the mainframe room will kill us within minutes. I looked at Jinn. We need to finish this together. Yes, her hollow face smiled. Impossible, Tyrell said. You said there were maintenance protocols, I said. Couldn't we use those to shut the exhaust down? He sighed. It was possible before your stunt with the slag tree. It will take time we don't have anymore. But you know how, Jinn said. Yes, he said, but there will still be residual radiation in the vents. She can move faster alone. Jinn stuck her head in between Kepler and me. Show me. I slowed the Starlight to a crawl and stopped meters from the exhaust vent. The core rose 500 meters above us, a gray rectangular facility built into the side of a black mountain. Hundreds of towers extended from the building, weapons and quantum space antenna. I'm going with her one way or the other, I said. She can do it faster than you. Show her. Fine. He swiped and brought up a separate screen. This is the maintenance subroutine and the security codes to get in. Jinn nodded. Thank you. Hold, please. After a moment, the grate at the end of the exhaust port swung open. I commanded the ship to hold position and remove the helmet. The shock of releasing all that information from my brain caused pain behind my eye and bile to rise in my throat. I almost puked all over Kepler. I should have warned you, Terrell said. That was too quick. Coughing, I handed him the helmet. You can communicate with us? Tell us where to go? Through the drone, yes, Kepler said. He put the helmet over his head. His eyes closed for a moment, then opened, his pupils shrinking. I will control the drone, and the drone will act as a bridge between me and Jinn to download my virus program into the core, while you remove the information you need. The small metallic sphere hovered next to Jinn's head. I stood from the cockpit seat, a little dizzy, and I made my way into the back area. I grabbed a light exosuit with a hooded breather. The moon didn't have an atmosphere. I also took a pulse blaster pistol. A field rose around the cockpit, sealing Kepler and oxygen in. Jinn pressed another panel next to the door and it opened to the emptiness outside. Breathable air sucked out into vacuum, and Jinn reached out with a robot arm to keep me from getting pulled out with it. Her female face met my gaze through the suit visor, the small hollow imager shining on the top of her head. Are you ready, Captain? Her voice sounded in the hood of the suit. I am. Are you? Yes, she said. Jinn placed her arm around me and launched us over the 3 meters of open space to the exhaust port. We sailed farther than I thought, but then remembered the lower gravity, and we landed another few meters inside. Periodic handholds were placed evenly along the inside of the exhaust vent. Kepler's drone hovered near my head. We're in, I said. Move forward 30 meters, Terrell's voice said. Both Jinn and I used the metal holes on the side to move forward and soon came to a junction where the exhaust vent split in 3 directions. A light on Jinn's left wrist lit our way. Shadows and skittering sounds came from the right vent. What the slag are those? I said. I was afraid of this, Kepler said. What? Shutting down the protocols didn't shut down the hunter droids, he said. Hunter droids? You didn't mention this. The original plan was for Jinn to go alone, Kepler said. Those droids are programmed to detect organic material. And let me guess, I said, that's the way we need to go. That's the way into the mainframe room, yeah, Terrell said. I had the single blaster from my hip in my hand now. What do we do? Jinn asked. Well, you have a choice, Kepler said. You can go right and fight your way through the droids. I don't know how well that pistol will do against them, though. Straight ahead is the nuclear generator and all the rads. You don't want to go that way. Or you can go left and I can find you an alternate route through the core to the mainframe, which will take longer. The shadows drew closer. Kepler cursed in my ear. I told you, he said. The stealth tech is failing. They detected us. You have to choose now.
And nicely done.
Thank you, thank you.
So just to go back over, those 2 choices are
Right.
basically right is one choice.
Right.
And left is the other choice.
Right or left. So right is a shorter path, but they have to fight some droids to get there.
Yeah.
They don't know what that's
They
going
don't
to
know
be
what
like.
that's like. Yeah.
Or they can go left and try to find some roundabout route to get there.
Which they're running out of time because that stealth tech is failing because I guess they just know where to look now because they chased off the slag tree. Who knows what happened to them?
That's right.
They had 34 bulldogs. Who knows? I guess I'll know when I
That's right.
write it next.
That's right.
But to the right, on the right-hand side of the vent, they've got hunter droids. So a lot of IG-11s and IG-88s. And
sure, right.
Yeah, I like it. We're there. We're in the core. And I liked what you did. It's not just Nexus, but it's like Nexus and a myriad of moons. And so it's all kind of like interaction going on there between the different moons and stuff. So very cool. I don't know, like, I think I can wrap it up in this next episode.
I think you can too.
But there's still a lot in there where I'm like, man, this could be fun to draw this out, or like if they choose going to the right and fighting drones, that's going to be at least 1,000 words right there,
right?
And then there's got to be a resolution and the follow-up conclusion. We'll see. This may be we might have hour-long special.
Right, it could be a long special. Or we could split the end up into two episodes.
Yeah. We could do that.
Even though maybe people won't get a choice at the end of one episode, but still we'll just kind of split it up.
Yeah, and they can come out 1 week right after the other.
There you go.
Okay, well, this has been a lot of fun. And for us, it's kind of a bittersweet sort of thing. Like, this has been a long journey. I remember months ago when we first started brainstorming this, and we were super excited for it. But then just now, brainstorming the ending to this got us excited again. And it's one of those things where we're like, okay, we know we got to wrap up this loop. We got to wrap up this loop. Like, we know sort of some things that are out there in the story that were just kind of put out there and haven't been resolved yet. And I think that's one of my favorite feelings as a creative, as a writer, is when your brain's like, oh, we can take A and B, and now that is the connecting point that you needed. That was the plot hole, and it's filling that in. So to be able to kind of see where it's going and know how we're going to get there, not exactly, but knowing where it's
Mm-hmm.
all going and then what we're going to be able to do with it after that. That's the sweet part. It's sort of bitter because we're wrapping it up.
It's been a fun story, man.
Yeah.
It has really been a fun story. And I think people are really starting to dig it because I see the downloads, right? So we were talking about this earlier. I see the downloads, and every month, like I will see like a spike of downloads.
Right.
Every week or two, I'll see a spike of downloads.
Yeah.
And when I go and look, it's not all one episode. People are listening to the whole thing.
Gotcha.
Like I'm seeing like 15 at a time on 12 episodes or something. Like I'm seeing like, I'm like, how the heck are all these people? But I think people are hearing about it. And then they're like, oh, well, I can't just start with episode 13.
Right.
So they
go back to episode
they
1.
go back and that I think was one of the reasons why we wanted to do stories like this, and why we're trying to keep some of these episodes not like an hour and a half. Like we tried to keep them 30, 45 minutes.
Manageable.
So that people can binge listen if they want.
Yep.
Like it's going to be fun for the people who get to choose and help us make those decisions.
And not to like give away a secret, but I noticed that from editing them, I usually keep pretty close to the same beat. So our intro portion is usually about the same length every time. So if you just click kind of right in the middle of the episode, that's right about where the story starts.
Well, yeah, and
sometimes what I have to do is I have to go back and listen to the podcast through the story just so I can remember, okay, what was that one little detail that I'm not remembering when I need to go right back. And it's pretty easy.
Well, and that's another reason why we're trying to keep each episode 1,500, 2,000 words.
Yeah.
So that it's not too long in one sitting, and you can binge watch or binge listen, right?
Yeah.
Binge listen, and it's like a sitcom where it's like 10 or 15 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
So I think it works.
Yeah.
And it's been really fun for me.
I love binging. Disney Plus has... we're binging other things. We're binging, not to go back on a Disney Plus rabbit trail, but we're binging these shows from the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Where you're like, man, that was
Some of them were
technology
awesome.
back then. Yeah. And you're like anything that had to do with the internet was like mysterious.
The internet was a bad guy in a lot of
the stuff.
Early 90s.
Right, like the smart house and all that. But it all stems into like kind of what we're talking about in this story. Will we ever write a paranormal internet story? Or, like where... Because that's the show we're watching. It's called So Weird. And she's got a laptop, and that laptop had a battery and a modem, and she could get on the internet wherever. And then through this laptop, she would come into contact with all these different spirits or aliens and things like that. And
it's amazing.
I love it. I'm like, it's X-Files for kids in the 90s. Yeah. But it was just a sweet, special little time right there, like late 80s, early 90s, when we had technology. But it was still kind of mysterious to us.
Yeah.
Anyways, speaking of shows on Disney Plus, our next Brew episode, Looking to the Future.
That's right.
Is going to be wrapping up the Mandalorian.
Wrapping up the Mandalorian, baby.
Yep. Episode 7 and 8, which in my eyes, and I think you would agree, I think those were both phenomenal episodes. I think they kind of got off that bunny trail of filler episodes.
Yeah.
Got back onto the main storyline.
They did.
And, episode 7 was good because it set the stakes. We do have some things that we will discuss in there about, the difference between an active character and a passive character. And then what they did with the end of episode 8, if you guys want to find out, I'm sure you guys have already watched The Mandalorian. Hopefully you have.
Yeah, if not, watch it.
Yeah,
because we're going to spoil it all.
Because we're going to tell you everything. But yeah, so look forward to that. And as always, raise a glass to inspiration.
All right, little dragon milk for the kids.
A little dragon's milk, yep. Go vote on Instagram,
Please vote.
Facebook.
Like, share.
Yes. And
let people know how awesome this story has been.
Yes. Get the word out there that you've been enjoying it, and so others will. And as always, stay inspired, guys. Yeah.
Yes, let's please.
Yes.
We've had it before, I think.
We have had it before on here. It's the Dragon's Milk Bourbon Barreled Aged Stout. It's one of our favorites.
It really is.
If you guys have thought to yourself, hey, that sounds interesting, maybe I'll go out and try it, you should get yourself a bottle of it. It is much more of a darker beer.
Yeah.
A little very bold in flavor.
Yeah.
And got a great mouthfeel to it, but I love it.
I really do love bourbon barrel aged stuff.
Yes.
I am a
So
big fan. So, yes.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.